Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Preston from Up in the Air. Analytics are telling us that nearly 70% of people who watch our videos aren't subscribed. Just wanted to give you a friendly reminder that if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on our channel, please consider giving us a subscribe. Other than that, let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? This is Preston.
This is Hunter.
And this is Ethan.
And this is Season 2, Episode 4 of Up in the Air. A double upload week, if you haven't noticed.
Woo!
This is being, doing a little test run on this one. We're recording this one very, very close to the actual release date of this podcast in hopes of giving some, fresher information. Maybe not. Get on our toes with what we're talking about. Stuttering a lot. But hey,
keeping it fresh.
It's whatever. Now, as we normally do, Hunter, take it away, dude.
Oh, okay. So, news has been kind of fucking dry. It's been a lot of the same shit.
That's a good thing.
Just a lot of stuff on Hong Kong.
Yeah, so I figured I would go ahead and start, and we would just go ahead and talk about this crazy fucking hurricane going on. Right
You want to talk about this hurricane?
Hurricane Dorian?
So actually,
yeah. We're not talking about the fucking weather.
No.
Unless
it's naders.
I'll talk about tornado.
No naders been happening though, so we can talk about this. So if you didn't see, I think it was yesterday, Mr. El Chapo, Kevin Hart.
Oh,
Kevin Hart was in a car accident. And
you had me. I thought we were talking about El Chapo for a second.
No. So Kevin Hart was in a car accident, and
poor Kevin.
Apparently he got his back real nice and fucked up. He had to go into surgery for it.
What's the circumstances of the car wreck?
Dude, did you see the pictures of his car?
No.
Completely fucking... It was a Barracuda?
It was a 1970 Cuda.
Yeah.
And it had a V8 Hemi Hellcat engine swapped into it.
Oh, man.
It was a birthday present.
Pulling ass.
It was a birthday present he had gotten a couple months prior, and his friend crashed it.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
The whole top is completely missing. Like, it's just marred.
So he was the passenger?
Yeah, his buddy was driving.
Oh, man, that's not good.
Yep, that right there.
Just look at the first picture.
All three were able to walk away alive.
Yeah, so obviously this car, very nice blue car, got our main man Kevin standing next to it. Next picture, complete front end gone. The top of the car is completely gone.
No hood.
No hood. The engine's basically on the outside of the car. I mean, yeah. Not a good situation. Definitely can see how
You can definitely tell that bitch rolled multiple times.
At least.
But I was... George brought it up to me yesterday, and I told him after, because he asked me, he's like, what kind of car do you think he was driving? And I was like, I don't know, probably something like super fucking expensive, like a sports car.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, no, it was a 1970 Cuda. I was like, dude, if that was my car, I wish I would have just died with it.
Yeah, I can't blame you, man. It's a nice ass car,
but
you
take it to the grave with you.
You gotta think how lucky they are, though. That's a car outfitted for the 1970s.
How's the driver?
They were those cars were much sturdier, bro.
No. I'm talking about safer to be in. Yeah, I'm sure the car is gonna be real sturdy, but
yeah, dude,
now you're getting thrown around in a real sturdy metal box with no.
Think about it though.
Better than getting vaporized.
I was gonna say, would you rather have a car that you are guaranteed to die?
The cars nowadays, they crumple on purpose. They make them in specific ways so that if you strike the front end, they want the engine bay to crumple first before they have any of the cabin crumple and things like that. Whereas when you look back with these cars, where it's a whole chassis that is made of just steel, that chassis is not going to crumple. It's just gonna hit something and bounce right off of it.
I will say this car crumpled.
What? Look, the entire chassis is still intact. I'm talking about the bottom.
It's completely drivable. Yes.
Yes.
This car completely drivable still.
Yeah.
Yes.
I get what you're saying. I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, because you're flying at a wall 70 miles an hour. You want the front to give a little bit, absorb some of the impact. Yes, but you're not gonna have a fucking car afterwards. I think is what we're trying to get at. 0%.
Yeah. Either way, you're still not gonna have a car.
This dude already don't have a car. You know what I'll tell you though is getting in a crash though with a fender bender. Let's say you'd rather be
fucking neck.
Okay, you'd rather be in a car that barely gets hurt in a fender bender because you still, like maybe at the end of the day, literally nothing happened to your car.
Yeah.
And then you want a new car, a smart car. You're saying no.
Not even a smart car, but those, like, I'd be very surprised if that car even has airbags in it.
Oh, dude, I mean,
It's got to have airbags in it.
it's got a fucking Hellcat engine in there. That thing is definitely modern.
I was gonna say it looks old, but it's the only thing that's old about it is probably the body of the car.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
I mean,
Car's fucking gone now, so we'll never know.
literally though, it's you
Damn
see them all
shame.
over. I was gonna say you
It
see
is.
them all over the place where it's like old car. It's got fucking AC in it though. It's got seatbelts.
Yeah, some people just don't even take into thought the fact that it doesn't have airbags, though. They'd be like, oh, it's pretty obvious to notice when a car doesn't have AC, but it's not very noticeable when a car doesn't have, like, airbags or
Right.
hazard lights or things like that. Things that you need.
Regardless, I'm sorry, Hunter. Kevin Hart got in a car crash, dude.
Yeah.
Was there more to that?
No, dude, he got into a car crash and had a really nice car.
Yeah,
Perished.
apparently there's rumors going around that he like completely broke his back and lost his voice, but his wife had to come out on Twitter and explain that none of that's true. So I feel like people are trying to take this as a chance to like hurt his career again.
So he
Who
didn't break his
knows?
back.
No, he broke his
No, he
back.
broke his
but-
back, but he's not like permanently disabled, nor did he lose the ability to use his voice.
No, he apparently he's already been through surgery and it sounds like he's doing pretty good.
Yeah, he's Kevin Hart. He's probably got the best white doctor there is out there, dude.
Probably.
If you're,
Oh shit. Oh no,
Oh.
we're good here. We're good.
I hope he's making it out okay though.
I'm sure he
Personally, I've
is.
never watched a single one of Kevin Hart's comedy specials. Have any of you indulged?
Oh yeah, I used
No.
to watch him all the time.
And
I mean, he's funny as fuck.
he
I
delivers.
don't
Yeah.
know if I've ever been able to sit down and watch it all the way through. I've never really watched one of his specials.
It's
They're
crazy.
pretty good.
Football stadiums, dude. You're sitting there with a football stadium full of people, and you're watching a Kevin Hart special. The What If one, I wanted to get around to watching that one
Mhm.
Yeah, I haven't watched
because
it.
that's like his biggest
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
one he
It's
ever
pretty crazy.
did. But
You don't really ever hear about comedians selling out stadiums.
apparently him, like Louis C.K. and Jim Gaffigan, they can all sell out a stadium.
I believe it.
They can all they got it on lock.
They've got that certain type of comedy that's very widespread.
Mhm.
It's not limited to
It's not like a
one
Dave.
group.
You gotta know you want to go see a Dave Chappelle show.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, Dave Chappelle, I know what I'm in for.
I'm
Yeah.
in the mood for some Dave Chappelle.
Jim Gaffigan is like, oh, you see him on the poster while you're walking by the comedy club that's right next to your house. And you're like,
oh, I take my kids to see him.
yeah, I was like, I'd take my kids to see Jim Gaffigan. He likes to talk about horses and Splenda, so it's it's real nice.
He talks about fucking taquitos and
Mhm.
food and shit all the
Oh,
time.
are they really gonna bring the taquito? That voice he
I
does.
Yes.
fucking love that voice. Fantastic.
Is he really gonna make that joke twice in a row? Yes, he is, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, he's. Oh man.
Well, I think that's a good segue into Dave Chappelle's new comedy special that he released on Netflix called
Yeah,
Sticks and
huh.
Stones.
Dude, Sticks and Stones did not break his bones.
No, they didn't. Now,
No.
I'm pretty sure all three of us have watched this
Yeah.
by now, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh man, just let's give the audience our opinions real quick. Personally, I gotta say that some of the most well-timed jokes that he's done, and that's what he's all about. If you go back and you watch the Chappelle Show, it's
Mhm.
it's a lot of very
It's big.
political
it's big
and
setup.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of like he takes things from current events and makes them into jokes in a way that no one else can.
Right.
And
Like
it's just very unique.
Like him bringing up, I mean, it's what, multiple months, if not a year, Anthony Bourdain's suicide.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a touchy subject, but
think
he
you
got
could
the
make it-
entire crowd to laugh.
It's not that he made it funny, it's that he made the contrast of like, well,
Yeah.
definitely a well-off person wanting to kill themselves. Here's this guy that, because he was talking about his friend or whatever, that guy he knew.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's now a
And-
manager of the fucking shoe store.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, not one time did this guy think about killing himself. So it's just him having a good point of view on it and being able to like address it very clearly and in a funny way.
He likes
Yeah.
to put life into perspective through comedy.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very it's a really I've said it, but I'll say it again. It's just a really unique way to go about it. It's only I can only see him doing it and only see him being successful at it because he's got that like confidence when he goes on that stage that no one else has.
This whole new special was like either not specifically geared towards it, but what I think it was geared towards it was just like let's piss everyone off.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone who's gonna care, I feel his goal almost it seems like is like I'm targeting you. When I say you, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make jokes on both sides, and they're gonna be literally the worst jokes I can possibly make about both sides, and I'm gonna make all of you laugh while I do it.
Well, it was I want to say within the first 30 minutes, he makes the joke about how he feels about the crowd, how he feels about his audience, and he points to them and he says, "You guys are the problem, not them."
Yeah. Well, then he even said at one point in it, he was like, because I think it was immediately after he told the crowd that, and then he was like, "And for you at home watching this on Netflix, when you get pissed off at me, just remember you clicked on my face."
Yeah.
It's true. Because if you're gonna go there and expect to be pissed off,
you're gonna get pissed off.
It's Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you expecting from him? He's done that shit since day one.
Since day one.
but like what he's saying is like, there's nothing to be expected of him. It's like, what do you expect you're gonna feel when you watch it? Then it's exactly what you're gonna expect you're gonna feel. It's like he's not doing anything that he's never done. It's just people have changed over the years. Very crazy. Little thought experiment there, dude. That's insane. Because he made the L's are making fun of the G's and the B's are making fun of the T's. That whole joke where he goes through.
I thought about that for a minute, and I think he did that for legal reasons.
Yes, probably.
I think because he even every time that he says LGBT, he even spells it wrong. And I think that was done on purpose too. Instead of saying it the correct way, which is LGBTQ,
TB.
he goes LBGT.
Was it?
And he leaves out the Q, even though he brings them up in the setup of the joke, which I thought was very, very interesting. That he had a specific way that he wanted to go about the joke.
There's definitely a purpose behind it. It's like maybe acting like you don't really understand it when you fully understand it. You're about to like joke about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't really know much about it.
Or maybe like he doesn't even care enough to want to give them that.
Yeah. So he knows people are going to care. So it's like, fuck you before you even do.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. It's very cool. Were you going into something? I heard a big breath. Okay. The joke he made about what was it? Victim blamers, or
how he's a victim blamer, or how people think he's a victim blamer.
Yeah, he obviously like kind of ostracizes himself with that part where it's like, Dave, my wife or my boyfriend hit me or something like that. If he hears a lady,
Chris Brown or Rihanna.
Yeah, he's like, well, what did she do? That sort of thing. Or
I think he's a little naive when I think that's what he's trying to say, is that he's naive in thinking that there are people out there who do dumb shit on purpose. Like that's the way I interpreted it. So when he says it like that, he doesn't mean it as in Chris Brown hitting Rihanna is not okay. He thinks of like, well, why would he want to hit her in the first place? Which is like, it's not a bad way to think about it, but I think he was trying to put into perspective the way that our culture has changed and how we don't care about the details, we just care about the headline.
I was gonna say, I took it less of how you took it and more like we aren't asking that question every time. We're not like, well, okay, so I got raped, okay? Now, who are you gonna ask questions first to? The person who is saying they've been raped and is like, that guy did it. They'll say it didn't actually happen. They're gonna question the fuck out of the guy who supposedly did it over and over and over again and get his story over and over and over again, see if it lines up, blah, 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 before they ever like, okay, maybe this didn't happen. Let's ask her why he would have done it.
Yeah.
And if he's like, well, I didn't do it, there's literally no reason, and she comes up with some crazy bullshit that isn't true, and facts that aren't lining up, isn't happening, then yeah. Because then that's a victim blame right there. You can't even ask someone, like, did you actually get raped?
Yeah.
Like, did you actually get sexually assaulted? Because heaven forbid you do that and actually try to make sure it's true, even though it's terrible. Obviously,
but you got to think. You can't just take that out of our time period and say it because of the way that it used to be. Is what impacted it and made it into what it is.
What it is now, where people didn't used to give a fuck about women getting hit or getting raped.
They would always victim blame.
Yes.
Whereas now people
it's like,
want to
well, your wife was acting up.
Yeah, and whereas now
it's a
people want to
turn.
think about it, but instead of being allowed to think about it because of the past that surrounds that single sentence, it's just like completely thrown out the door now.
Yeah. What was on Ethan's podcast? They showed the video of like reasons why you hit your wife or some shit like that.
Yes, and oh my god,
was that video from like fucking way back when?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull up the news clipping from it. But
oh man, so what are you guys talking about? I don't know if I've seen this.
It's like just a video of, like I said, I don't know what year, but obviously a while ago, and I think it was basically there was like an interview type deal, and it was asking these men questions like, when have you ever hit your wife, or why'd you hit your wife, or some shit like that.
Hold on, keep talking.
But
it's somewhere if I can find it.
Another thing from the special that really got me was the Juicy.
Oh, Juicy Smouye.
Yeah, that fucking killed me. I loved that little section.
Which part was that?
When he's talking about Jussie Smollett or Smollett or however you say his name.
He's like, Juicy.
Okay, changed it to Juicy. That whole thing was so funny.
Yeah, what? He beat you up? They were white? They had MAGA hats on? What?
Where's Kanye been at the last night?
Oh, yeah. And then he goes on to talk about how they were like Nigerian or whatever. And then he was doing the Nigerian accent and like saying the stuff that claimed that they had actually said to him. And that whole bit was so funny.
This isn't the exact newspaper clipping, but it does kind of really give you a sense of the times back then. Headlining, do you still beat your wife? Maybe you should have never stopped. Read why in the roll-licking, provocative, yet educational booklet entitled Why You Should Beat Your Wife. Written by an eminent practitioner of this manly art. Send 15 cents in, stamps or coin to Coal Sales Company out of our lovely state of Illinois in Chicago.
That's fucking crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Back then, that was just like,
man,
that's just how it was.
Yeah, that is
in a newspaper.
In a newspaper, nonetheless.
Literally,
it's an ad. It like, send in your change, and we gonna give you this informational pamphlet on why you should beat your wife. Like, what the fuck? That's insane.
It is to think about it, because there's literally, what is this right here? Mrs. of someone is literally saying, "Oh, here's why we should be beating our. Here's why I want to be beat, because if I don't get beat, then I'm not going to learn how, to stand up for myself." And I'm assuming what happened here is that some women shot their husband, and it's the green thing behind me. Some woman probably shot her husband because he was beating up on her,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, this is... What a freaking barn of wool of... What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
A spool of
yarn barn wool.
We're winding out
spool
here.
Of shit.
This is a big crock, though. What the fuck? Can you imagine... Holy shit, if someone wrote that in a newspaper today.
Oh, today? Oh.
This booklet you can buy is written by a man who is practicing the manly art of beating wife.
Yeah.
Is this so crazy when you read it out loud? Yeah, it does. Oh, could you think... The editor's like, yep, that makes sense. I like that. Good period there, good comma there. Beat your wife part really sells it. Send it.
It's not like some dude just wrote that up and then that was that. It's like it went through the whole process where some guy had to go through, edit, make sure it was okay. They got to send that up the chain, and then it's like everybody eventually was like, yeah, this looks like this will people are gonna eat this shit up. Let's go ahead.
Let's eat this shit up.
Let's go ahead and run it.
Oh man, that's just horrifying, to be honest.
Hold on, I gotta find the.
Just like
I know it's already been reported on by podcasters, but I gotta try to find it.
That's just one of them. Think about all the other things that got lost in time, like crazy shit like this that just got lost in time because it might not have been documented other than like just a newspaper clipping. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love looking at like old cigarette ads and stuff.
Oh my gosh,
It's so funny because I think they used to have the
9
same.
out of 10 doctors.
Yeah,
recommend
this is the healthiest cigarette. Smoke this one.
Yeah. Speaking of, dude, can I take a fat scotia?
That whole era of tobacco.
I was gonna say, you wait. We're living in it, so we have no idea. The same way they didn't know.
Oh yeah.
We can act like it's better, but holy fuck, it really might not be.
Oh yeah.
Who knows the long time? I mean, it'll be a while before we start seeing anything. But
as your dentist, I would recommend Viceroys.
Viceroys filter the smoke where other competitors don't. What?
Jeez.
Yeah, and then you had like Lucky Strikes, and you fucking what cigarette brand was it that always ran? It was the Cowboy.
Marlboro.
Marlboro.
Yeah, okay, so it was
Marlboro
Man.
Man-size satisfaction. Smoke Chesterfield. That's Frank fucking Sinatra.
Holy shit!
It is.
Yeah. See Sinatra, ABC TV.
Like, dude, if back then, if you're like you're walking down the street and you see an advertisement for smokes and it's Frank there, you're like, oh fuck, I'm buying those cigarettes.
Could you imagine
Frank smokes those? So am I.
Imagine
that's
if
why they
fucking
stopped.
Brad
That's why they
Pitt
made
sold
it illegal.
cigarettes. I was gonna say, what do you imagine if Brad Pitt sold fucking cigarettes?
Yeah.
20,679 physicians say Luckies are less irritating.
It's toasted.
It's toasted.
Throat protection against irritation
Oh my
against
God.
cough.
What does
Like,
that mean?
Dude, no one fucking
Maybe-
knows. What are they? It's toasted. What is?
I get-
Your fucking lungs?
Oh man, I like that. That's pretty cool, actually.
What, the camel ad?
Yeah, just imagine though.
I just wanna take a second. What uses that? Because that tastes burnt.
It probably is. I slept on this last night.
Yeah.
But I can't taste it because I'm immune to
Me
it now.
neither. Imagine why. This isn't like I'm not backing this up. You get,
No, it just tastes really.
take a drink of water. Vape your vape. The fucking. So imagine what the possible causes of them putting menthol in cigarettes in the first place are. Now, after reading that, I've come up with a conspiracy theory that may or may not be true. I have no evidence to support this. These are the thoughts and conjectures of mine own. I bet people got real tired of smoking non-menthol cigarettes, and it probably made them cough. You know what opens up the airways and reduces coughing? Some menthol. So they just add a little extra chemical in there, and they're like, it's smoother. Nearly 20,679 doctors said so. Filters the smoke. You're basically getting no smoke.
Yeah, and it's even weird to see that. I don't know if I don't know the loophole here, but
Yeah.
like just recently, what's that little device George got?
Caliburn.
The Caliburn. I saw a TV commercial for them, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, what is it? It's you can advertise the vapes and the alcohol as long as there's not anyone drinking it or vaping it in the commercial. If something like I know that's how it is with vaping.
I'm trying to think because would there be like because obviously there's fucking commercials for alcohol and all that,
Right.
But you can't advertise for tobacco products. But are they allowed to advertise a product that is its main purpose is to help you get away from cigarettes?
Cessation, yes.
Because I
only
mean,
with FDA-approved products like nicotine gum and stuff.
Yeah,
because
I was gonna say with like Nicorette and all that kind of shit. You
Yeah,
know, they run ads obviously, and
but that's because those are like there's only like 3 nicotine or we're just like gone way off. But hey, it's up in the air, baby. The nicotine satiation devices that are approved by the FDA are like nicotine gum, nicotine patches, or like
How can the FDA still approve the sale of these things, anyways? Is it
they're
literally just
actually
because they know the implication that it'll have on a society of people who are already addicted?
how they can approve a tobacco product or like a nicotine product?
That they know.
That's because they know everything about it and it's been tested against like animals, people, everything.
No. How do they? No. Not how do they know? It's how can they continue to sell it after knowing?
FDA's not selling it. They
No.
only
Approve
it.
the sale.
Of what? Nicotine gum?
Anything, cigarettes,
because it makes money.
Yeah,
but the FDA doesn't get any of that money.
But
they're getting it.
they're getting money.
I was
dude.
gonna say they're getting it somewhere, somehow. Like it is,
maybe.
maybe.
Definitely.
There's not a reason. There's one reason that cigarettes and stuff have been sold and kept in the market for so long, and that's because it makes money. Like the reason vape stuff's getting taxed and it's getting less illegal to do it, and getting like it's more open to more places now than it was, is because it's now being approved by the FDA. There's stuff's getting ran through the channels. The government's making money because they're able to tax it now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a fuck who's dying.
No.
Or anything like that. They say they do. The FDA is like, hey, man, maybe we can't. Nope. Guess what? 1 million people a day buying a pack of cigarettes at from what is like $7 here to that's like $20, $25 on the coasts, making a hell of a lot of tax money.
Yeah.
And addiction is the best money market out there.
Yes, it is.
So that's
emphasis on the big pharmas, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All
literally.
that shit.
I was gonna say, rebuttal? How can they keep selling Vicodin? Like, how can they keep giving people Vicodin when they know it just scrambles and it scrambles your brain and addicts
Same
people?
idea with morphine. We've
Yeah.
known for over 100 years how addictive it is, and we still use it.
I mean,
So
hey man, it does its job.
I mean, it's a hell of a
I
drug.
will say, yeah,
It's a hell of a
morphine's
drug.
doing what it needs to do.
Goddamn right. Let's see.
That just reminded me of the meme I saw forever ago, where it's like, it was like, how crazy would it be to have to go to like a doctor, like back in fucking like the late 1800s or early 1900s, and the whole joke was like, yep, you got ghosts in your blood. You should do cocaine about it.
Dude, it is crazy. I saw a post not too long ago, a couple months ago on Reddit, about this little nurse's kit that this dude found that his grandma had. And she was a nurse in like the 30s and 40s.
Oh, I can
And
only
it-
imagine.
And it literally had a vial of cocaine in it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, dude.
medically prescribed cocaine.
Literally,
yeah.
it sounds crazy though, but it's no different than the doc having a. It's just not going through the fucking nose.
Yeah, think about fucking Adderall. Adderall is the legal version of meth.
It is meth.
It's the legal version of it.
Yeah, it literally is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It does the same
It's
thing to you in
considered
large
a
quantities.
methamphetamine.
It does the same exact thing. There should not be a divide. Like, it's like, do you want Adderall? No. Would you like some meth? You should have to say that. You should have to say, would you like some meth
Yeah.
to help your knee?
Here's the other thing. Here's the other
Bitch.
thing, though. Think about like the fact that
How about some cocaine?
psychoactive drugs are used on a daily basis for people with mental disorders that we don't even know correctly affect them. Like
Ketamine's
think
the big one.
ketamine, clonazepam, like even drugs that are supposed to help you sleep sometimes are psychoactive.
Yeah, dude,
Isn't that
take
fucking insane?
Take a Valium and you stay up past the peak, bro. That's when you start seeing dreams with your eyes open.
Yes. I mean, like, I don't even understand how we don't understand the full effects, and yet they want to throw them at these people like they're fucking candy.
No, the people who do the ketamine and all that, they know. Well, first of all, and I say this lightly, it's just a psychedelic. Now, ketamine's a weird one. That's like a crazy one. You would think
Ketamine was originally used as a fucking horse tranquilizer.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say was I don't see why ketamine. Maybe it's because it can be easily measured, but that's no different than anything. Like if the government wanted to make LSD in a lab, they could do it and give it to people in very finite amounts, where it's like something. It's like a process that's already in your brain. I don't get why they're using like here's some horse tranquilizer. It's not really a psychedelic, but if you take a lot of it, it forces you to have visions and shit. So it's really weird that they would choose, because there's like a plethora. You could just have someone as easily take a very small amount of DMT, and they'll probably go through the same amount of thing in less amount of time.
Yeah,
like a ketamine. There was a
uh,
dude on the Joe Rogan podcast who went in and did like a ketamine trip for his PTSD in the service, and it's like they put you in a white in a hospital room, and they like put you in on a bed with all the lights on, and are like in your arm with whatever dose of ketamine, and they let you just rock and roll for 11 hours in there by yourself. Wow. Who is that help? I mean, like, I think because the ego death thing that I was talking to you about that one time
Yeah.
is like they want, I think and this may be crazy, I think they want people to shit their fucking brains out of their self. Like, they want people to get confronted with, like, all of this
And here's the
Because
thing.
it's like-
Here's why I think they want that to happen, and that's because psychology has proven that if you want something to stick in your brain, it has to be a traumatic experience. If you want, it's no. You can have the best experience you've ever had in your entire life, and you might remember it for the rest of your life, but you are not going to remember every little detail of that as much as you would remember being held at gunpoint.
Well,
So in order to have maximum effectiveness, I think that they try to keep you in a very bland area so that it forces you into your own mind, so you have to face your own demons in that moment.
As just what I was about to say. There's no other. I can't imagine anyone's gonna do good in there.
No.
In a hospital
No.
with no one you know.
There's no way. Yeah, you can't put yourself into a situation where you know you're going to change the
You're going in there wanting.
physicality of your mind.
Okay, well, you're going in there to release the pressure that those thoughts have.
Yes.
So you have to go through them again. Because if you go through how bad is it getting a gun pointed at your face once? It's probably going to be less bad the second time it happens.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, fuck, I've already gotten a gun pointed in my face. So maybe having all of those memories, like you were saying, relived, is like, well, yeah, there it is again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that bad this time, though. Maybe it wasn't that bad the first time. Maybe I'm hanging on to it a little bit. Maybe it's affecting others around me, stuff like that. So, I mean, it makes sense. And the people that are going in on it kind of want to, like, they're doing it. They're fully deciding. It's not like the doctor's like, hey, we got a new treatment. Not going to tell you anything about it before you do it.
Yeah, that's hella illegal.
No kidding.
Yeah. Which is fucking hilarious, in my opinion, because that's still like I can almost say with confidence that there's probably still shit going on, like the government drugging people. I can almost guarantee you that they still do that.
Dude, there's always
can
going to be
only-
shit like that in some form.
I can only imagine, like, there's literally, like, buildings of people who are just, they're in the facility, pardon for the mouth gas, they're, like, in a certain facility where they're just comatose in a bed. There's just buildings full of people who are just in beds, comatose. What do you think? Because you know the government hasn't thought about it. I'm thinking about it, which means the 1,000 of people who run the government have thought about it. Why don't we just give them, you know, some of these drugs? You know, they're not-
Psychoactive drugs
No,
like LSD.
no, like literally any experiment they want to run. They've got a fucking
That would be one.
10, 20,000 people out in there that have comas. They're not doing anything.
I would
Yeah.
be
And if you
really,
do
really
anything to them,
interested.
they're not going to be able to tell anyone, and no one's coming and visiting them every day.
Yeah.
So
I would be very, very interested to see the effects of LSD. Like, put someone in an MRI machine that's been in a coma for a couple months, and then you give them LSD. I would be really interested to see what happens to the activity in the brain. I feel like it would be, like, completely something unexpected.
I
Who
bet
knows?
they would trip the fuck out still.
Oh, I'm sure they would.
well,
but
if they're
who
brain
knows
dead,
if they're
then-
even? Who knows if they're even able to tell if anything's going on? If because we don't know if people are conscious in comas. Sometimes they say that they're conscious, sometimes they're not, which is very, very interesting.
Well, it's the brain. It's like unpredictable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, put a period on that. I suppose. Oh my gosh. That came from, in case you're wondering where the start of this conversation was at, viewers,
where
Kevin
was
Hart.
Was that it?
Oh my gosh.
Well, we went from Kevin Hart to that, yeah.
Yes.
Up in the air, deep dives. Okay.
So Kevin Hart. And, whoa. There was a no. It went from Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Well, it
Dave
went from
Chappelle.
Kevin Hart to Dave Chappelle to this.
Well, yeah. Because we were talking about Dave, and
But
then we
Dave
started talking
really,
about
like,
him saying shit, then beating your wife,
Political,
and
beating your
smoking
wife,
cigarettes,
smoking ciggies.
and then medication and comatose people on LSD.
we should have a flow chart for that last conversation.
Yeah.
Did you talk about cigarettes in the 50s? Yes, no? Move to this one.
We'll upload flow charts alongside with our podcast so you can keep track.
Parentheses? No, we won't. Close parentheses.
All right. So what's the next move? What are we moving on to now?
Well, since we've sort of just been talking about the government and political anyways, let's talk about some implications here, okay? A little changing, turning tide and whatnot. We've sort of seen a bit of a change in platforms' ability and responsiveness to what people are deeming, like extremist speech, hate speech, anything that's going to incite violence, whatever like that. We're seeing a big move from what used to be the old, I can go on Facebook and post what I want to fucking post, and I basically got immunity from doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, this, real quick here, how many times have you ever heard a group of people be like, take that post down?
All the time.
Pretty much every day.
How many times have you seen a group of people say, put that post back up?
Very few.
Well, it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. How many times have you ever heard of someone getting their speech restricted or anything like that on a platform?
A little bit more often now. Yeah.
A little bit more often now. Where is the line? That is what I want to try to determine. The theoretical line.
There is no line.
The theoretical line. Because there's a thing that not we, but like the people are doing to these social media. They're doing it to the social media companies. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with the way Facebook and Twitter run anything. There really just isn't. They're a company. They can completely decide how they want to run it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're just trying to please the people who are on their app. And they're trying to do the best job of that exact goal. Saying, take that post down, put it back up, silence these people, don't silence these people. Why are you taking this down and not taking this down? There's this side that's getting treatment that this side isn't getting. I think we may have proposed to them, whether or not it's their job, an impossible job. And that is to accurately and quickly define what needs to be censored, when it needs to be censored, and how it gets censored. And I think it's fucking impossible.
Well, here is a way to kind of put this one into perspective. And I've been thinking on this one for a while now because it's been pretty fucking annoying and it's starting to bother me a little bit. I've been thinking, the way I think that this went is that there is obviously a much more prominent left side in social media. And I think when it comes to these social media websites, what matters is about being the first one to start the uprise. So if it's started by the left, who has a bigger presence, it's always going to get dealt with. However, when you look towards the left, you're going to when you look towards the right, you're going to see a lot less tech-savvy older people who don't necessarily understand how these websites work and how you get a big following to push your agenda.
Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but coincidentally, in the statement that had just been made, two generalizations have just been made that are kind of true and kind of like not true.
Yeah.
One is that the left can and will flee to social media quicker than the right.
Which is true.
Now, do we think that whether the age of the right is concerned, they actually want to complain about things as much as the left? Because if there's not an equal amount, because these are all just questions I would bring to like a social media, like if there were to be legislation put in at some point in time where they're like, we can allow social media platforms to unequivocally like censor people and take it down and be like, this isn't right and this isn't right. If we catch you doing it, you can't do it, stuff like that. If the right isn't wanting to complain nearly as much as the left, which is honestly, you can see it just in social media as it is. The left can make a quicker response than the right, but I think it's because they've honestly gotten more practice at doing it. And they've made, and it's not, I think, were the ones who started all of this, where it's
that's what I wanted to bring up.
Complaint culture. It's complaining.
And yeah. I want to start this off by saying,
oh man, this is going to
be. I want to start this off by saying I'm not a leftist and I'm not right either. I define myself as I'm a centrist.
Before, I want to try to define one thing though. Extremist content or like comments, no matter how extreme or what side they go on, I don't think it's right for either side to put extremist content to a side. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Where it's like, some Christians may not like gay people, and some of them will go picket at gay weddings and whatnot.
Yes.
But if you're a normal Christian, you're like, well, they're not us.
Yeah, so just
So
fucking leave them alone.
Yeah, so anything that's saying like right extremist speech, no. If they're an extremist, then they're not really even operating within the rules or the agreements of the group.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
just wanted to round that off so we could agree that they are not a part of anything.
To start this off, we got to look back to Obama's presidency. And you're going to notice that throughout his entire presidency, a lot of, especially Fox News, and a lot of right-leaning news sites and social media and all these places had a lot to say, a lot of bad things to say about Obama. And they were always complaining about something.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to 2016, where the Republicans finally get a presidency, and yet here they are in the same position they were in Obama's presidency, except they're not talking about the president anymore, and they're not talking about Obama, but they're talking about everyone else that's not the president.
The people who like the president. That's who people like to target. It's not the president. It's what he's doing to convince the people to like him.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where you see the shift.
And so it's not even...
Because even before Obama, it was like we're making fun of George H.W. Bush.
Yeah,
we're not making fun of the people who like him.
But it's to the point now of it being over... it's like it's over the two terms. The Republicans shouldn't have much to complain about now, but they're still going and picking... And these, not even Republicans in general, but like these right-leaning news sites or channels or whatever you want to refer to them as, they're still going after people. And I think at this point, it's kind of like the left feels drowned out after having so many years of just being shit on, and now that the Republicans are up there and they've got the power and they continuously shit on people, that they're almost just sick and tired of it, so they want to drown out the right, and they want to be on top.
I would disagree.
I would
think they're under the impression they are on top, the left.
That's I would 100%.
Yeah. That's what I think. But I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but
I'm with you on that.
Well, I mean, clearly they're not on top.
But that's not the point. Is they want to get that.
They're beating their chest, man.
Yeah, they're beating their chest, and like I said, we didn't.
That goes both ways. The right is too. It's everybody's doing it,
right? But who has the control over like the mobs is the left. There's not. I mean, but the left will say the exact same thing about the right, where it's like, well, Trump only won because he was able to get the evangelists and the gun rights and all these hillbillies who hate black people.
There's so many different groups that matter, though.
There were the jokes when Trump was running that like all the white dudes came out of the forest and voted for him and shit.
It's like
that.
White dudes were literally voting for a black person. These white dudes didn't vote for your lady because, hate to tell you, she's a fucking felon. So, like, and as I was getting at earlier, it's like, we didn't make fun of people who liked Bush, and we didn't make fun of people who liked Obama, but we are really making, and it's just like, what is the merit, and how does it help anything? We are really making fun of people who like
shifting
Trump.
The blame.
We're really making fun of people who like Trump.
Yeah.
Like, to a point where it's like, the only people who created the divide, whoever was the first person to be like,
Fuck Trump followers or whatever.
Yeah, literally, if you vote for Trump, you're racist. The first person who said that, congratulations, go die in a hole. You started all this. You did. You simply did. Because once you took the blame from what the president's doing to how the people are reacting and voting for the president, you shouldn't be doing that. Because why would you as another person be like, you're fucking stupid and a racist for voting for someone?
Yeah.
When it's like, them being all of those things has nothing to do with the president, and that's what this is about. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's why it's like crazy, because it's just, we didn't do that, and now we do. And doing thus has made everyone shift to like the right side and the left side of the wall. You know the game of Jam where you're like, I'm going to put a number on this thing, and whichever side you agree with, we're going to that side?
Yeah.
It literally happened. 2016, this happened. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
It's done. Everyone's on their side, and they're there until either all of us die or all of us change.
And neither of those has happened yet, which means it's just been this shitty, continuous cycle of poor,
Because it's not about
just
the country.
poor,
It's about
poor
the
interactions and communication between both sides.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And it's genuinely pathetic to the point where I can honestly say, and I'll make a generalization of all of the younger people.
Mhm.
I can honestly say that for anybody under the age of like, I might even push it to like the age of 30 at this point in time, would either any sound person at the age of 30 or younger would be in a place where they honestly would not want to associate themselves with the left or the right.
Yeah, maybe. Because, like, and you get the big, I mean, and you get the big groups of people, though, that are in that age where it does seriously matter. Like,
Which is, it confuses me because,
well, because it doesn't make sense. It should
Yes.
confuse. None of this makes any sense how it's
No.
going down.
yes. I think people are being shown bad examples of how to
How to act
express
in a political
yes,
situation.
how to express
Yeah.
and
'Cause
how to get what you want.
It literally, it's because I was just about to say that before you started on that, it's like, it's not about what we are going to do for our, policy making, okay? It used to be like, what is our president going to get done that's going to benefit the country? And it's not really like, yes, worrying what people are going to think about it, but not ever feeling worried that if you do it, you're going to like create a moral shift in everyone's view and everyone's going to be against one another.
Yeah.
That never used to happen, like just sitting back and being like, fuck those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck all those guys. Fuck the Republicans. I don't like them. Why do I not like them? They're racist. Have I met them? No. They're racist, though.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think part of that is due to social media because
That's
now
Mostly
exactly
social
what. Yeah,
media.
that's
no,
exactly why I
think-
bring
but
it up.
I think this is a different take on the whole idea. Is that it's not even like when you think about the way that the president used to interact with people, especially back in the like 60s and 70s and the 80s, back before, television was a household item in that time, but that was it. That was how you got the news. And if you
TV,
wanted
radio, and newspaper,
and if you wanted more, you went and you grabbed a book and you read that book. And I think that's what separates it, is that the presidents had to come to those cities and those towns and the states, and they had to have personal interactions with people. And nowadays, people can go on social media and they think that they can read everything they need to know about this person that they want to put into a position of high power, and they really don't know this person at all.
And it doesn't help anything that if you're someone who's like, well, I didn't like that, you can immediately go 10 seconds later, type that message out, and then have it out to, if you're a famous person, millions of people. Your opinion, if you're famous, can go out to millions of people. They'll take it as fact, and then those millions of people are going to say it to 3 of their friends, and then that's 4 million people, and then 10 million people, and it's gone, it's done, it's all fucked.
Yeah.
Social media makes the response of political talks so fast, and it just jumbles everything up and mixes it, and just is like, there's no...
Yeah, it
'Cause
turns it into alphabet
Like,
soup.
when I would do... Skills USA, right? When you want to... And this is like kind of a monarchy way of doing it. Not that I'm saying it should be like this, but it's like when you want to have something changed within the organization, or if you want to submit something that you think should be different, ergo, like, let's say we want guns to be full, right, in every state, everyone can have. You're not going out and saying that to everyone all at once. You're bringing it to... It needs to be personal is what I'm saying. Political needs to be personal. It's up to the government. And it may be everything. Yes, it's like we should know what's being passed in our government, but can we not pick it apart live on the news and be like, and try to make everyone think that this could be a big issue, and instead look at it where it's like, oh, it's just it's a law, it's a piece of paper. We can read on it and be objective at home and in our own homes, but being like spoon-fed, this is going to be an issue. Well, fuck, some dude on the TV just told me it's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah, now it's an issue to me.
Now it's an issue to you. You're going to react to your wife, your kids,
But you're not going to tell them why it's an issue to you. You're going to tell them why it should be an issue to everyone.
Because you don't know. Because the dude on the TV didn't even give you a real reason.
Exactly.
You will come up with the reason based on whatever it is that applies to you.
It's very
Which is
very
the whole point
sad.
of TV news.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole point of TV news was to bring the information to people back then. The whole point of
news,
news
though.
today, though,
The news. Literally, the exactest definition of the news.
it's changed a lot.
Are you fucking
Yeah,
kidding
A
me? We
lot.
talked about it
The news used to be about important things that were happening locally. Now
Yes.
the news is about making money.
Because how many times you watch, even if you don't or do, if you watch our news here, it still isn't about what's going on here. It's what's going on the coasts or in a area where people are getting all worried about shit. It's not about what's going on here. And we talked about it on the episode that came out on Monday, that there was a big shift when newspaper and TV, when we started reporting on celebrities and started making gods out of normal people,
Reality TV.
Right, reality TV, the celebrities get more popular than before you know it, what they're saying is solid gold to people. And then we take where we used to be at, where it's we're worried about our country, we're going to the moon, this is exactly what's happening, we're not swaying it in any way, these are the facts, gone. It's all gone. Respectable journalism, gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying there's no one out there that's writing good, hard-hitting, analytic shit, but majority of what you see on TV is just complete fucking hogwash. Unless it's an independent
Not
thing.
only is the ability to report news gone, but the ability or the air of criticism is gone as well. You're not allowed. There are.
You're definitely not allowed to criticize.
There are certain people and certain things, certain items, certain names, certain groups of people
You can't
that
criticize.
are without criticism now, and that is completely wrong in my opinion.
And
I don't think there should be any one person or one group or one thing that should be above criticism.
Nope. I agree with you.
Well, just earlier when I was looking for shit to talk about, came across an article which is 100% true, and it's talking about how nowadays, pretty much everybody, for any information, a lot of people are going to YouTube, they're going to Reddit, they're going to other places.
The wrong people. The wrong people. People.
What do you mean?
No. I mean,
Wrong
they're
people,
going to
people.
they're going to the wrong people.
Well, that's not what I'm getting at. Regardless of where they're going, people don't trust actual news anymore.
Right.
Actual news
Yeah,
sources.
I can't blame them.
No, I don't either. I mean, I get most of my news from pretty much anywhere besides an actual news.
You
website.
kind of want to.
Yeah,
You kind of want to try to
literally.
get news from somewhere that's just going to read you the news.
Yeah.
Not be like,
Just tell you
well,
what it is.
what
This
the
might
implications
sound
for our country
crazy.
because of this is it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a torrential downpour.
Just go to
black
Nixon.
people, black people are going to be getting shot down in the streets by a police officer.
As
Saying
crazy-
shit like that is just so insane.
As
Yeah.
crazy as this is gonna sound, I get more accurate news from other people that post on Facebook than I do from the actual news.
Well, you can never completely
You're fucking kidding
tell
me,
what's
though,
going
right?
on.
You're fucking kidding me. I find
There's people
that
who-
I get
yeah.
more accurate news from a random person on the fucking internet than I do from a worldwide known news source on my fucking TV.
With some total fucking Chad who's making $1 million, whose literal only job is to just simply send someone to the White House, gain factual information from the White House, bring it back untampered, and then give it to the American people in the exact same form that you received.
They can't do that.
Not anymore.
No,
Your opinion
everyone's on
as a
someone's payroll.
newscaster or anything like that doesn't fucking matter. Simply, and it kind of is true that we're kind of there's where if you can simply be analytical and not just take what is put in front of your face as fact, and you sit back and realize the news is not built for people like that. It's not built for people who want to second guess what they're being told, which you should always do. Don't ever believe something someone tells you, especially if you don't know them.
Yeah.
And-
Completely.
and
Even
they're-
if
and they have
try
a
to fucking
monetary
make you
gain.
feel like they know you.
Exactly.
Because that's
We
even, that's
understand
another
as-
goal. That's another goal of
is
a
to relate-
newscaster is to be as relatable as possible.
Yes. And so if you're going to your news and someone's trying to relate with you and then make an opinion that they think you're going to like based off of factual information, you just turn that factual information into an opinion and then you just sent it out. completely doctored and turned around from the original source information. Bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's real bad.
It is. I gotta agree.
Well,
it's very sad.
It's like the whole thing with playing the fucking game like telephone. You tell somebody something, and then they tell the next person. By the time you get to the last person, it's different.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near what it started
dog
at.
shit. Yep, it's dog shit.
Yeah, it's like, well, that's not what I fucking said. I said this. How did you get that?
Aye.
There's a little quote here from this guy on this, censoring, whatever. He says, there's a thin line between disgusting and offensive speech and political speech, and there's a thin line between disgusting and offensive speech and political speech you just don't like. People are blurring the lines.
I agree.
Because there's a very big difference from things you don't like to things that should not actually be said.
Yeah.
And if you don't want things that you don't like to never be said, then you're kind of ruining the whole point of you having an opinion.
Yeah.
Because then you're just destroying someone else's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, yours doesn't matter, but mine does. Does that make any sense? Like, what makes the person who's saying their opinion is wrong and they're racist? Like, what is that? How are they better in any way than the person they're trying to antagonize and make their view look shitty?
Mm-hmm.
There's literally no merit behind it.
Yeah.
But everyone can be caught doing it at some point in their life. It's not like we are without it. It's just
people people with a following need to understand the impact that they have on their following, because people do not go out of their way to find things that they don't like. It's like that's just okay, because I'm not going to an article that I completely disagree with to read it. I'm going to an article because I agree with it and I want to know more on it. And I feel like there's a lot of people out there that don't think that way.
I will say though, as an out atheist, I love, and you guys have caught me doing it. I love to listen to the Christian broadcast.
Yeah.
I just love listening to it. Even if I completely disagree with it, it's like I kind of enjoy it. Because like even the other day, it's like you don't even understand how Christians, like this is like big, whatever. But as far as like fully understanding an opposing ideal on something, the best way is to get information about it. So like, not that I'm trying to actively oppose Christianity or anything like that, but I listen to these programs and it's like, the way you may think of Christianity is like people not like liking gay people or like super intolerant of like certain activities or anything like that. Well, it's changed over the years. Like the other day I was listening to it and it's like there's they were talking about pro-gay churches and pro-trans churches and ministers turning their thoughts around and making things more accepting and yada yada yada. So it's like I wouldn't know that, and like anyone else wouldn't know that unless they went and looked, and now they can safely say that their thoughts on an opposing issue have changed simply because they got information on it. Like now that they're educated, they don't just have to be like, well, I hate it.
Yes.
And I hate it.
Exactly.
You can, after you get information, you can still say you hate it, but at least you hate it for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not blind.
Yeah, it's not a blind hatred towards the subject.
It's not ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it can be frustrating. It can be very frustrating.
Get learned,
Literally get learned. Yeah.
Get learned. Well, I can teach these people something about the American government.
Do it.
You guys want to transition into this?
We have got. I mean, we're gonna go over an hour, but pull it. Yes.
All right. I'm excited. Okay, so I've been doing some research, guys, and today we're gonna talk about two things, and they both entail. The main thing we're gonna talk about, though, is called Project Sunshine.
You're muted.
Oh, okay. And so what Project Sunshine is, it was a series of research studies that began in 1953 to ascertain the impact of radioactive fallout on the world's population. But another project started before this one, and it led into Project Sunshine, which is why we're going to talk about Project Gabriel first. The importance of this, I feel, is to note that even though we have a government and we think that they're going to do everything they can to keep us safe, I just want to kind of put into perspective
that
the real power that the government has over us.
Their gain to them, I feel like, whether or not being willfully discussed by them, their gain in science and how they can better make themselves more powerful is completely null to the fact of the American people. Like they don't
yes.
care.
The cost of 1 or 2 to the American people is nothing to the government.
Yes.
And it's very open in this. So, all right, I'm gonna talk to you about Project Gabriel for a second. So, Project Gabriel was an investigation to gauge the impact of nuclear fallout resulting from nuclear warfare, and it was spearheaded by a guy. Let me find his name. Let's see. It was conducted by Nicholas Smith Jr. at the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And this is where it was started. And the studies were done on strontium-90. And they were trying to figure out the effects that it had on long-term exposure and how much of this exact strontium-90 you would need to expose to land before it would have the same effect as like a nuclear meltdown. So they wanted to see how it would change the long-term effects on crops, animals, and humans. So in 1943, they were doing some testing, and they came to the conclusion that about 3,000 Hiroshima-sized detonations in a single growing season would have this same effect as a meltdown would. Like, this wasn't, they didn't know this back then,
Right.
but to put it into perspective, 3,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs. Hiroshima, it would impact the land so much that it would completely it kills everything.
I can only imagine it just probably disintegrates anything that's around it. I mean,
but it turns out that his math was wrong when he did that, and he calculated that 10,000 Hiroshima-sized detonations would be needed for long-term hazards to become serious. So, to better understand what he's talking about, what they did is they took information and they took things like baby bones from dead fetuses, and they used urine samples, and they would leave them in the area of the detonation of a nuclear bomb with this specific strontium-90 to see the effects that it had on the bones and the urine.
Right.
And then they would take the information from that and run it through to figure out what the effects would be on the land around it. Now, the reason that this is important is because of what Project Sunshine was about. And like I said before, Project Sunshine was a series of research studies that began in 1953 to ascertain the impact of radioactive fallout on the world's population.
It's funny you say that because what the actual implication in play is literally like in the early 50s, right before they knew, or it was in in between 1927 and 1950 when this movie was shot, they didn't have a clue, and like right afterwards, this could have saved a lot of people's life. This study, so
yes, but here's why we're talking about this and why this study is so fucked up. It has a very controversial history. So, let me just read this for you guys. On January 18th, 1955, then AEC, and the AEC stands for Atomic Energy Commission. Commissioner Dr. Willard Libby said that there was an insufficient data regarding the effects of fallout due to a lack of human samples, especially samples taken from children to analyze.
Odd.
You want to know what they did?
Huh.
They stole.
Nice. I already like where this is going.
What they did
Love
to
it
get
when the
human
government
samples, what they did was over 1,500 samples being gathered, 500 were analyzed, but many of the 1,500 sampled cadavers that they used for the study were babies and young children that were taken from countries from Australia to Europe, often without their parents' consent or knowledge.
So dead babies.
The U.S. government, no.
Or,
It's not even they might not have even been dead because the parents didn't know about this.
This literally goes hand in hand with the whole fucking Alex Jones thing from the Joe Rogan podcast several months ago, where it's like they're taking the live newborn babies and they're stealing them for government testing. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's today, and there's proof that it literally happened in the 50s, as you're saying.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That is a mind boggler. No
Yes.
kidding, the U.S. government
So-
would fucking steal some kids
So
to
they
do nuclear
literally
testing.
they literally went out and they just stole these babies
Fucking
all
classy.
across the world to test their bones and blood samples and skin samples to the effects of what would happen.
Why babies?
Well, it's what would happen from nuclear radiation, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, they used to do that for people who were active in the service back then.
Well, they would test out the nuclear. This was before any of that still. So
You said this is when?
this happened in the 1950s.
Yeah, it was
Project
around the same time.
Project Gabriel started in 1945, which is when they started testing the overall effects on the land around a nuclear bomb.
Uh-huh.
That's when they were trying to figure out like the impact of where, like, how big the radiation would spread, how it would affect the animals, the vegetation in the area after a while. And then they were trying to figure out how much you would need, like how many bombs you would need to blow up in an area to make it completely unlivable for like almost permanent amount of time.
Which you said
Yeah,
was
well-
close to 10,000, right?
Close and yeah,
To
they figured
Hiroshima,
out
10,000 Hiroshima-sized bombs.
Yeah.
if they wanted to make a specific set area, they would do 10,000 timed calculated explosions in the same exact area. And the way they explained it is they wanted the effect to happen over time, so they constantly in the same area, like 1 week they'd drop a bomb and then they'd wait and see the effects. And then they were like, fuck it, we're going to do another one the next week and then see if that amplifies the effects.
Yeah, I mean, they did. U.S. government did a ton of testing in Nevada. They did it in the Marshall Islands. They did it some in Alaska.
Yeah.
I know they ran some tests in Alaska where they were detonating nuclear warheads underground, and then
let's see.
obviously in the ocean and all that, they'd blow that shit up. And
Project Gabriel took place in a lot of different places because it happened over almost a 10-year period, but a lot of it was done in universities. So Oak Ridge National Laboratory, Columbia University, University of Chicago, UCLA, things like that. I don't know why they were specifically trying to use universities at the time when they were doing this. I'm sure it probably had to do with limited number of local scientists, because this was also the time that they were bringing in old World War II scientists from the German side, Nazis, and that's when they really started ramping everything up, which is, I think, around the time that they went from Project Gabriel to Project Sunshine, because they went from trying to see the widespread effects all the way down to, okay, now we know how this is going to affect all of the area around us. Let's focus in and see what this does to the human body.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really fucking crazy that they would even think about taking just dead babies from all around the world.
Literally, we had such a better way of doing it back in the day, where it was like we would take convicts or something, like take convicted murderers and do it. Like I could see it's
They
still,
also talked about that in this, but they preferred the use of baby cadavers.
well, okay, I can almost understand that, because humans obviously ingest a lot of things in their lifetime that could damage their cells. So
This is true, yes.
trying to find this is weird, but trying to find the most pure subject with no toxicants or anything like that already in them is probably really hard to do. So babies being the best, most strict baseline of like how it's going to impact the human body without any other things in it.
I just figured it out. Okay.
They like
So the
why?
article
'Cause
explains,
smaller bodies, less big building you need.
of particular interest was tissue from the young, whose developing bones have the highest propensity to accumulate strontium-90 and thus the highest susceptibility to radiation damage. So babies are most likely to suffer
Makes
horrible
sense.
damage from this specific type of radiation.
So they knew that if it affected a baby,
they would see the most effects from using babies.
right, which would mean it's easier to test. Wow, what the
Right? How would they even figure this out in the first place, though?
having a normal human and a baby. They have to test it against something.
Mm-hmm.
I guess so.
There's no way for them to figure out information precursory to that without doing so. So it's insane.
It is insane. It's just crazy to think that the power that the government really has over us.
It is. Now, the little tie-in here to this situation is because of this unknown information and being in the age when it was not high common knowledge, there was a guy by the name of John Wayne who may have just died because of it. Now, in 1927, American geneticist Herman Joseph Muller discovered that prolonged exposure to radiation can have crippling effects on human health. Now, this is, and by early 1950s, it was known that nuclear blasts, which is the study you were saying, produce massive amounts of fallout that is highly radioactive and potentially lethal. Now, even knowing this at the time, that radioactive blasts can technically put off, quote unquote, technically, no, fuck that. They literally do put off radiation. The film producers of The Conqueror, which released in 1956, decided to shoot very near the remote town of St. George in the Utah desert, just about 100 miles away from the infamous Nevada test site. Now, approximately 100 nuclear bombs of various yields were detonated at the Nevada test site throughout the 1950s. In 1953, 11 atmospheric nuclear tests were carried out in the area as part of Operation Upshot Knothole. The mushroom clouds were tens of thousands of feet high, and strong winds carry radioactive particles all the way to the Utah desert. In 1954, only 1 year later, when the filming of The Conqueror began, the barren hills around St. George were likely covered with a layer of deadly nuclear dust. It's important to remember. So, on the filming of this project, The Conqueror, how likely do you think it is that you're in the desert, and you're in a movie, so you're not gonna have like a mask over your face, you're trying to talk? What's the likelihood you think that you get a little bit of dust in your lung? Probably really high, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's like a big thing that like shoots this theory down here that nuclear radiation caused the deaths of these people, and it's that smoking was really big back in the day. Mm-hmm. But even with people being, I was just reading, 70 times more likely to get cancer from smoking back then, having a crazy number, and the number is 90 people from the film and crew, including John Wayne, got cancer and died months and years after this movie.
Yeah. Well,
all about the same time.
Shit, guys.
I mean, you had, like I mentioned earlier, that you would have all these guys who were active in the military that they would detonate a nuclear bomb. Then they would have guys on site there, and they would say, all right, march towards it.
Yeah.
And those guys would do that, or they would have, in other areas, I think the UK did this, they would have sailors on ships, and they would detonate a nuke fucking somewhere.
There's literally...
So I just stumbled...
Hold on.
Okay.
There's literally, I saw it was on Joe Rogan podcast, there videos of the nuclear test site, and then explains it just off to what you said, where after, literally, right as the shockwave just poof, they're like 20 or 30 guys that just go running towards it.
Yeah. And
for seemingly no reason, but now, yeah.
There's a really cool video of these guys talking about it, about one of the tests that were ran was that they were... forget they before it would happen, they would tell everybody like, all right, sit down, look down or cover your face or something with your hands. These guys were saying, they were like, I could see my bones.
Yes.
Like I could feel the heat, I could see through everything, even with my eyes closed.
Bright,
and
No.
One of the other guys was
detonation sends off actual X-rays, and it allows you to see your bones like you're looking at an X-ray of your hand.
Cool.
But
that's really wacky.
Oh yeah, I'm making the number up, but the guy had said there was like maybe 300 or so guys or whatever were there, and he was like now probably or years after that, he was like probably more than 70 or guys died from cancer and still dying from cancer.
Doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
So I just stumbled upon something really cool. Turns out there are a bunch of other areas in Nevada referred to by designated numbers other than Area 51, and it turns out pretty much every single one of them were nuclear test sites. Because I have a list right here of Area 1 all the way through Area 30, and it lists them almost exclusively as designated areas for them to test all their different types of bombs.
Yeah. I forget. I think it's also in Nevada, like fucking in a mountain is a huge vault where they keep all their nuclear waste and shit like that.
Yeah, because you can't really put that anywhere. You can't just put it in the ground.
And
You
there's
can't
no
just
point
put it
in
in the
moving
ocean.
it, 'cause if you move it, then
there's a chance that you're gonna fucking kill a whole city if you accidentally fuck up.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to see where that is real quick. Let's see.
Oh my god, just
Caps
imagine
is
like
on.
dropping. I mean,
Yeah, look at
it's
this
just like air. I just can't believe how much radiation can just pass through the wind. That's really like what the startling statistic there is on it.
Most of these places had multiple detonations too. Like Area 9 held 115 nuclear tests for a total of 133 detonations. Area 10 held 57 nuclear tests. Oh my gosh. It's pretty crazy how many times we just fucking went balls to the wall there.
What's that scoff all about? I heard that.
So, I was looking up the mountain that I was just figuring out what the name was. It's fucking Yucca or Yucca or something mountain
Yucca
in Nevada, and so they started. It looks like they started storing shit there in like the late 70s, early 80s. And this says, as of 2015, the facility contains over 150 million pounds of spent nuclear fuel and high-level radioactive waste. That's fucking crazy.
Big numbers behind big projects.
Yeah, here's what you were talking about, Hunter. Area 12 was the primary location for tunnel tests and used almost exclusively for that purpose. The tunnel complex is mined into Rainer and Aqueduct Mesa included, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this was the area where they were testing underground explosives.
Yeah, they did it in Alaska, too. There's a video that's really crazy. They made up, like, one of the, like, fucking Nuketown, where they had set up their little area and see the effects on it. And they had all these buildings sitting there, and they would detonate the bomb, and then you would see everything just go up, and then everything...
fall down.
There goes my phone, and everything collapses. Some dramatic effect through my fucking phone.
The moral of the story here is really that while we gain all of this power in our country, we get to reap the benefits of the new technology, and we are throwing ourselves ever so quickly into technological innovation, that there are costs.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of
unknown costs, though.
There are a lot of unknowns. Wow.
Amen. That's how we keep moving.
That's how we keep moving forward.
Amen.
Are we stopping this podcast?
I think so.
How dare we do that to the listeners?
little
We're a
over
little
an
over
hour.
though, so
Gobbledygook, man.
Yeah.
That's all it
We got some
is.
extra content smashed into this one.
this was
Smash that like button.
this was a true up in the air podcast.
Yeah, true American podcast.
Yes.
True, truly.
But this been Preston,
This been Hunter.
Disbin, Ethan.
and this has been another episode of Up in the Air.
An American podcast.
Bye bye.